Frazier and Maestro styles, you know we got one. Right back like we left some. We don't duck smoke, we want all of it. So line them up, Trey sharp with the blade, you know we sizing it up. I'm quick to catch the fade, you know Styles making the cut. Cause we coming out clean every time that we showing up.
It's gonna be called The Barbershop.
What up, folks? Welcome. It's a brand new edition of the Barbershop Sports Talk podcast, back for this week. We are streaming live on our YouTube channel, on Facebook, on Twitch, on Twitter, and on Instagram. It's your boy, Trey Frazier. It's the homie Maestro Styles.
Yes, sir.
What's good, man? What's going on? How's the week?
Hey, man. The week was good, man. You know, I had a reminder this past week that the importance of companionship, man. How important it is to have a day one to, let you know you loved and that everything is going to be okay. And I know that because you are okay today on a Tuesday.
Yes.
Losing the 4-2 series.
I am okay.
You know what I'm
saying?
Yeah,
I am okay.
Yeah. You know. and I want to shout out your lovely wife. Debbie, because I know there was a lot of companionship and things that had to be spoken. You know, some life had to be spoken into you. You know what I'm saying? And some necessary things, man, to get you to come on this podcast and be so calm, man.
Yeah, look, man. I'm not the one in the locker rooms. I'm not the one out there to have to explain, why we couldn't beat the Indiana Pacers. Like it's them. But I'm just here to talk about it. You know what I mean? Summer's about to turn, even though it don't feel like it right now. It's still chilly, windy out. I'm still, sniffling and sinuses all over the place. Allergies is going crazy. But yo, man, I'm blessed to be here, man, to talk about, what's going on with this team.
No, thank your wife. Thank God for that.
Sure.
Thank your wife.
Sure. Thanks. Absolutely. She held me down. She sat there, watched these games as they was going on, the kids.
Cause that shit was sick. And y'all some trash.
All right. Well, look, I know you want to go ahead. If you want to get your stuff in, go ahead, man.
No, that's it. But y'all are some trash. Yo.
Well, I'll take being one of the final 3 teams in the playoffs as being trash. If that's what that is for us to be, then cool.
That's cute.
Cool.
That's cute. But you are very clear what the expectations were, what your goals
were,
of
course,
and how attainable they would have been. So,
but don't call us trash because we didn't get it done.
I can do that.
Sure, but it's.
You think I'm not a Knicks fan? You think I'm the only? Do you think Knicks fans aren't saying a similar thing?
I don't think that. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying what you think. I'm saying, do you think Knicks fans?
No, I'm saying I do think. No, of course they are. Of course, there's fans out there that are trashing the team. Look, there's fans that are trashing the team for firing Tom Thibodeau earlier this afternoon. So look, it's it's a difference of opinion.
We'll get there.
What do you mean we'll get there? That's the news of the day. What do you mean we'll get there?
Yeah, sure. But you haven't really introed the show, so I'm saying we will get there. But I'm also But I wanted to start this show thanking your wife for mental health, for you to what I'm saying. She's the reason that you might be able to realize, you know what, I ain't making no money for rooting for this team. It's just a game. She might have been the one that talked you off the ledge the other day when y'all was getting smooth. When y'all was losing. I won't say y'all.
She was right there with me. Like she was just as upset as I was, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. But it is what it is.
Bro,
it is what it is, man. It's like it's just another. It's a game.
Well, let me be clear.
Up?
Let me be clear. Firing Tom Thibodeau does not suggest that it's just a thing to y'all.
What do you mean?
Within the organization, firing Tom Thibodeau does not suggest that losing in the Eastern Conference Finals is just a thing.
Where do you get that from?
This guy is if not the main reason.
Yeah.
Top 2 main reasons as to why the Knicks are even a relevant team right now, and because he lost in the conference finals, y'all felt like it was time to shift gears when he's the reason that y'all, for the most part, he the reason why y'all in the Eastern Conference Finals, even talking about this conversation, and you fire him.
Okay, so you're on the.
I'm sorry, intro the show. I'm sorry.
I know, right back. But I kind of figured out, and the way you kind of introed into this conversation was pretty clever on your part. At first, I'm like, is he getting deep? Pause. Like, is he like about to go into some like, Def Poetry Jam type stuff? And then you kind of, flip that into where we're at now. So that was clever on your part. But yeah, man. Man. Let's let's get this thing rolling, man. It's a dope show. One of our good friends that's been on the show with us before, the DMV's own Kelsey Nicole Nelson, is going to come on with us in about 20 minutes and just kind of talk all things, DMV sports. We'll get her reaction to the firing of Thibodeau. We'll talk about DC getting the NFL draft in a couple years, and all kinds of other stuff that's been going on with her. She's been doing some great stuff. I see her on Fox 5 in DC. She's been at the Preakness. She's been like everywhere. It's like this girl just every day she's doing something different in different spaces. So dope to have her back on and kind of talk to her about what she's got going on. So getting to Coach Thibodeau, and what I want to first say is, Coach, thank you very much for the past 5 seasons where you brought this franchise out of the abyss and into these playoff conversations, and then eventually into these championship conversations. With that being said, man, I'm not shedding a tear necessarily that he's gone, but this did just kind of come left field. Like, this kind of came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it to happen this off season. I thought that this would be something maybe a year from now, a couple of years from now, that this would be a thing. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm surprised that 48 hours. This is what they concluded, that, look, man, it's time for a change. It's time for a new voice to come into this locker room. Expectations were high with this team, especially after you beat the defending champs in the fashion that it happened. It opened the door for, for the Knicks to get to the finals. We saw what happened to the Cavs in the previous round. They weren't in our way. And I think the front office looked at this team. They looked at how this offense was being ran. They looked at Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, the duo, and guys that aren't necessarily defensive stoppers, but 2 of your guys. Like, those are the 2 best players on your team offensively. And I think they also looked at, why did it take until game 3 to start saying, hey, we're going to have to play DeLon Wright. We're going to have to play Landry Shamet. And thank God they didn't play Campaign the rest of that series, because he was god awful. But I think they looked at that. I think they looked at, okay, if we're going to seriously contend for a championship, we're going to have to be able to do certain things, make adjustments in pertaining to who we're playing in these playoffs. Indiana, and I hate to say it, and props to the Pacers, but now the teams in the East are going to be chasing the Pacers now. It's the Pacers conference until somebody knocks them off. That's just what it is. Whether you agree with it, whether you disagree, whether anybody doesn't want to see that reality, it's the Pacers conference until somebody knocks them off from this point moving forward. So, it's now going to be about roster construction. It's going to be about who you're going to bring in as a head coach candidate. I've heard a lot of names being thrown out there. I don't know why I'm hearing Jason Kidd's name as a candidate. He's already got a job. Dallas is not going to, let him walk out the door. I'm hearing Eric Spoelstra. The Heat's not going to just trade Eric Spoelstra, to the rival. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to happen. I'm hearing Frank Vogel, Mike Budenholzer. What's the cat that they let Denver let go? Mike Malone. I don't think it's going to be any of those guys, to be quite honest with you. I think they're going to do their homework, and I think they're going to find. And you may disagree. People out there that cover the team might disagree, but I think they're going to hire a young head coach that's going to be able to maximize the potential offensively for this roster. I really think that. And a couple of names kind of come to mind. Johnny Bryant was an assistant with the Knicks under Tibbs until he got hired in Cleveland as an assistant under Kenny Atkinson. They liked Johnny Bryant coming into the Knicks organization. They liked, some of the, characteristics and things like that. That's the stuff that I'm hearing. If they went ahead and hired him, I would be cool with that. The name I've been saying for quite some time, and it's, the whole Villanova connection, and he's not necessarily a young guy, but Jay Wright. I've been saying this, and I've been caught saying this on several occasions. If they ever moved on from Tibbs, you better give Jay Wright a phone call and see what he has to say. That's where I would be with that.
Okay, so you said a lot, so I'm trying to process all of this.
But it sounds like you don't agree with the firing.
Well, let me ask you: do you agree with the firing?
So, I don't agree with it, and I'm gonna stay consistent here because I was just on Steph's show last night talking about this, and the question was asked around the panel: would you bring Tibbs back? And I said yes. For this moment, yes, I would bring Tibbs back, just because you got him the extension the previous offseason.
You owe him $30 million.
We went one step further than last year. Granted, we thought we were going to see Boston in the conference finals, but we ended up seeing them around earlier. So once you knock the champs out, now the expectation kind of changes when you got the Pacers right in front of you between yourself and getting to the finals. So I said that I would stick with Thibodeau for next year. And I'll say it again. I said it at the top. I'm not necessarily shedding tears for him today because I knew that there was going to be a point where if this team didn't reach its potential, that the talking heads and the chatter about him potentially losing his job was going to be a thing. I didn't know it would be a thing today. I didn't know it was a thing maybe around game 3, game 4 of the Pacers series. I didn't know it was a thing, down the stretch in the regular season. This is just some of the stuff I'm seeing on Twitter from content creators, people that cover the team, that kind of a thing. But to answer your question, I would have voted for Tibbs to remain as the head coach.
Yeah, of course you would have, because he got you to the conference finals and y'all ain't been there in 25 years. So
you agree? You disagree with the firing? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I do.
I just wanted you to be clear.
It's a bad firing.
I just wanted you to be clear.
I was getting there. I was definitely getting there. But I'm listening to you talk, and I guess you're being a fan. You should support your team's decisions. But I'm sitting here thinking, like, bro, this team, they're in the conference finals. This culture has been shifted because of Tom Thibodeau. That's not all alone, but for certain, he played a major role in this culture being turned around and this team not only just now being the media team, but also playing good basketball. Sure. So to fire him, look, should they have lost to the Pacers? No, they shouldn't have lost to the Pacers. I mean, I guess on paper, let me say on paper. Let me be respectful to the Pacers right now. On paper, they shouldn't have lost to the Pacers, but the Pacers, quite frankly, whooped them. It just is what it is. They played better. They deserve the series. All the things. But to sit here and act like 5 years ago on the court, this team wasn't a laughing stock. You know what I'm saying? Like what are we doing? Like what are we talking about right here? What are we talking about right now? Tom Thibodeau was done wrong, and I think the Knicks are going to pay for it. I don't think. God bless Johnny Bryant. I don't believe that Johnny Bryant is going to come in and command the respect from players that Tom Thibodeau did. And this, I don't know. And look, I don't know him. I don't know nothing about his background. I know who Tom Thibodeau is. I know what Tom Thibodeau has done. I know what he's put in this league as a head coach.
What I will tell you, not to cut you, but what I will tell you about Johnny Bryant, and like I said before, he was on the staff just a year ago before he went to Cleveland. So he was there for a bunch of those years under Tibbs.
But we agree.
The players. So look, Brunson speaks highly of Johnny Bryant. Like all the players that are there that have been with him speak highly of it. So if they were to bring him there, I don't think the reaction of the team's going to be, oh, like we got somebody new here. Oh, this guy don't know what he's doing. Blah blah blah. I don't think that's going to be the case because he's been there before. So that's just.
But he hasn't been there in this capacity. I'll give you an example. When you hire, for instance, well, I ain't gonna say that because that's personal, and in case people are watching, then I don't want to put that out there. But I'll say it this way: just because you hire within doesn't mean you hired the right person within. Don't mean they're equipped to do the job because they've been in the organization for however long they've been in the organization.
Agree.
Some people just ain't meant to be head coaches. Now,
and generally speaking, I agree with that.
And I'm not putting that on him, but I guess I kind of am. Like, nigga, we don't know you. We don't know you, and we don't know that you have the pedigree to coach and lead a team, like be the leader of these players. It's cool when you ain't gotta tell them, hey, sit down because you ain't playing good. You know what I'm saying? Like those aren't the roles that Johnny Bryant have to do the tough things that Tom Thibodeau as a head coach has to do. So it's like, sure. I mean, look, and don't get it twisted. I'm all for giving giving new guys a shot and all the things. So if they hire them, good luck. But we're not about to sit like you got to call a spade a spade. Like Tom Thibodeau got done dirty, and I'm sure he'll get another job somewhere. Look, like we watched what he did. But I don't think. But I think it's. I think the Knicks jumped the gun. They jumped the gun. There's no way that you left this Eastern Conference series and said this is his pinnacle based on what we've seen.
Well, I think you could look at it two ways. Let me give a quick shout out here. I got my man Jungle Brother in here.
What up?
Jungle Brother's a Knicks fan, so he's definitely got some opinions about this. Didn't know how to use the bench. I have some mixed feelings about how he utilizes the bench, how he goes in, 6-7 guys most nights, all throughout the regular season. Didn't really practice with the bench, give the stars certain nights off to kind of see what he had with the bench. So I can understand that. But Jungle Brother, you're not about to give me PJ Tucker getting minutes, bro. I mean, and I like PJ Tucker, but there was no way that they was putting PJ Tucker on the floor unless it was just for committing fouls. That dude wasn't getting burned.
Well, more than that, like we know that's Tom Thibodeau's thing, and he's been successful at every stop, and has been most successful at this stop. So it's like, yes, those are knocks on his coaching philosophy. But to sit here and act like he didn't take this team where he took this team in a short time,
Who's acting like they didn't though?
Well, no. What I'm saying is that if you don't like, I don't buy that Knicks fans believe that this was a necessary step, A, and B, that we gonna just plug in any old coach and then we gonna go to the finals and win.
Well, look, like I said, I think you can look at it two ways. You can look at it and say, this is the ceiling that his coaching style can get. And we've seen that in Chicago, we've seen it in Minnesota, and now we've seen it here. We've seen Tom Thibodeau get those teams out the mud. Particularly with Minnesota, because Minnesota had a longer drought than the Knicks did before he got here. He knows how to get teams out the mud, and he knows how to sustain success. And I know it didn't last as much in Minnesota as it did here and in Chicago, but we know for a fact that he can do that to a franchise. He can transform a franchise into a respectable playoff team. But now when you're talking championships, when you're talking about getting to the next step, when you're talking about getting over the hump, the questions are legit. Is his coaching style good enough to get to the finals in this NBA? But it's bullshit because you didn't give him an opportunity to work with these new acquisitions. This is Cat's first year. This is Mikal Bridges' first year. Like, sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, not that I'm not jacking that, bro. Like, and look, I'm not a Knicks fan, and to be honest with you, I could give a flying fuck. But I think y'all are going to suffer in a negative way. I don't think you're going to bring in a coach that's going to come in and turn this around, and all of a sudden they're going to be able to beat the Pacers, or this is going to be a championship team, right? All of a sudden, Nah, I don't fuck with Tibbs, Jungle Brother. It's not about that. It's about respecting what coach come in and did for your culture. I don't think he's none of these things. I'm saying he came in and did what he did. Whether he was Pat Riley or not, he still came in here and did what he did. So to fire him the first year, you actually put a all-star starting five around him. Mm-hmm. Guys who can actually do what Tibbs want him to do, meaning play those long minutes. Right.
You give him 1 year and you kick him out. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. I would say that was crazy for any coach who did this, who did exactly what Tom Thibodeau did. That would be crazy to me.
Well, look,
honestly, and to add Andrew, and to add to it, mm-hmm. The East is wide open, bruh.
And that's the other side that I was going to bring into it. That's the other, because look, I don't think, like I said, I was okay with bringing them back for next year. I was okay with that, but they see something that I can understand why they would part ways. Now,
I think it's something more than that. I ain't gonna hold you.
Now, like you said, Boston's going to change their roster. Tatum is not going to play next year. In all likelihood, he's not going to play the entire year. The Greek Freak in Milwaukee, you think he's out there? You think he's up out of there?
I think he's gone.
I do too. I agree with that. I think he's up out of there. Milwaukee's a lottery team once he walks out the door.
Yeah,
in my opinion, right?
I agree.
So now you're talking Pacers. We'll see what the Cavs do, how they bounce back. A Detroit may be on the rise, maybe in Orlando, but I still think Orlando needs a floor general for me to take them seriously. So,
but they'll still be in the playoff race.
Sure, they'll be in the playoff race. But now we're talking championship for the Eastern Conference, and I think now you're looking at the Knicks as in
the
that
top team
three.
That go win. I think they are. I think with what you believe, what we believe is going to happen to the Celtics,
right?
And because we don't know if the Cavs are ready, the Knicks are in number one prime position, and then you go fire the person who put you there.
Sure, no,
that don't make sense to me, bruh.
And I understand that. No, I like I said, I understand it. I totally get that.
Got me caping for this nigga, man.
But. Well, you volunteered that, Kate.
What's right is right, but what's right is right, bro. I don't fuck with Tom Thibodeau, but what's right is right.
Sure. Look, like I said, I'm not shedding a tear for the guy. Look, I've brought up examples in Toronto when Dwayne Casey, DeMar DeRozan, when that whole thing just kept reaching a ceiling. I get it; it's different circumstances, but the Raptors looked at it and said, "Okay, we can't win with this group. We need something to get over the hump." And they went out and they traded for Kawhi Leonard, and they got a coach that nobody ever heard of, and Nick Nurse, and they went out and win the championship. Yeah. In Golden State, when Mark Jackson got that team up again, another franchise that was in the mud for so many years, the Warriors. Mark Jackson comes in, Steph, all of a sudden, that superstar starts to generate a young Klay Thompson, a young Draymond Green. They get to that second round that first year, and then they take a step back. And again, totally different circumstance in terms of how they got to the firing. But nonetheless, they let Mark Jackson go, which I still think was an unfair raw deal. They get Steve Kerr now. What you're saying about Johnny Bryant, you could have legitimately said about a Steve Kerr 10 plus years ago.
Steve Kerr has been a coach / executive / office person for years.
A coach though?
Executive. Okay.
Executive.
Okay.
Yeah, he was an executive.
But that's not. But come on, bro. Like you're not about to seriously sit here and compare Steve Kerr and his history.
Was he a coach? Was he a coach?
Okay, no, he wasn't a coach, but you were certainly not about to compare his basketball mind, what he's contributed to the NBA as an executive to what Johnny Bryant. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name, but
Johnny Bryant.
To Johnny Bryant, bro. Like, nah, like, okay, if it works out, great, but today, this is a bad move, and I think the Knicks are going to suffer. I think they're going to take a step back because of it. Now, luckily for y'all, the East is wide open, so it might not hit the same. But I'm saying, why not go into the season being the more consistent team in the East, and you was already a series away from making the finals, bro? It makes no sense.
Nothing you're saying, doesn't make sense.
And look,
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, I think there's two sides to look at it.
Yeah, and as a fan, you should see the other side of it. I'm not saying you're wrong either.
No, I do. I do see the other side of it. Because I've said this for maybe about a year or 2 years, is that the fan base, if you let this guy walk out the door, the fear amongst the fan base and maybe potentially the players in that locker room and the people in that front office is that culture, everything that he built, everything that he brought to this team in 2020 to get them out of the abyss and to get them back to relevancy, all of that goes out the door with him. So we're going to find out, and we're going to find out real soon, as early as next year, we're going to find out if everything that he's built in this culture went out the door with him.
Yeah,
we're just gonna find out.
Because respect.
We're gonna find out.
With respect to Johnny Bryant, don't give me Johnny Bryant. Like if you telling me Mike Malone is coming in, if I was a Knicks fan, I might feel a little bit better about a tenured coach. But trust me, I don't.
The thing with Mike Malone is.
I'm just throwing that name out there, by the way. I'm not.
No, and look, it's been a name that has been thrown around.
Of course it has.
Spaces and all that stuff. It's definitely a name that keeps coming up. I think he's on their radar, but I think eventually he's probably not going to be the guy. And I tell you why. I think they have similar coaching styles, and if we're looking for someone to be more, and look, I get it. This is a championship ready-made team, but when it comes to playoffs, when it comes to adjustments and things like that, look, Rick Carlisle, he's one of the best at, getting guys. I mean, look, the nigga threw out, what was his name? Thomas Bryant the other night, knocked down, 3 threes in a row, bro. Like who does that? You know what I'm saying? So they're looking for the guy that's going to be able to maximize the roster.
And you believe it's Johnny Bryant? I'm asking.
It can be. I believe it can be.
Okay.
I believe it. Look, again,
well, nobody knows.
The Raptors hired Nick Nurse. Like, there's examples of team. There's examples.
They also bought in Kawhi Leonard, bro. Like,
I get it. I get it. There's examples of this working out. Like, it's a risk. Those teams took risk also. Let's not act like they didn't take risk. Golden State too. They took risk.
Sure,
you know what I'm saying?
Sure, but
it ain't no sure. It's yes.
It is a sure. Risk. Yeah, but you're like in the Toronto Raptors.
You're saying sure because you've seen the results of it. We have yet to see the results of how this takes out.
I'm saying sure because the Raptors brought in Kawhi Leonard, one of the best players in the league at the time.
I get it. I get it, bro.
So it's easier. It's easier. Like, okay, if you telling me next year Johnny Bryant's coming in and he's bringing and Giannis Antetokounmpo is coming to the New York Knicks. All right, I might back up a little bit, but right this second,
sure. There could be some changes to the roster that I don't know about just yet.
Let me be very clear about what my example is, though. If you're telling me you're going to bring in a nobody coach and then bring in a superstar player to the New York Knicks, then I'll back off because your Toronto Raptors example makes a lot of sense.
It's apples to apples. I get that.
Yeah,
I
but
get
right
that.
this second, if John, and again we talking about this Johnny dude as if we know he's going to get hired. And we don't know that. But
right.
If you bringing in that, you better bring in one of the best players in the league to come with it.
And look, I'll give you a slight another example, even though they didn't win the title yet. Look what Kenny Atkinson was able to do with this Cavs team just from a regular season standpoint. They realized, and again, JB Bickerstaff, I give him all the credit. I thought he got a raw deal in Cleveland after they took a further step. That might be maybe the apples to apples comparison here, because Cleveland was a playoff team last year.
What superstar did they bring in?
They didn't bring in a superstar.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's what I'm saying. I think that's.
Oh, you're saying that's how you're.
That might be the closer. Right. That might be the closer. That might be the closer example.
But bro, now
what the Knicks are trying to do.
But now you're comparing Johnny, what's his name, to Kenny Atkinson?
Okay, sure.
Like, come on, bro. Like, if we gonna talk, we gotta talk, bro. You're not gonna sit here and tell me what Kenny Atkinson does on a coaching level. You're prepared to compare that to Johnny, what's his name?
Sure.
Like, yeah, bro. Like, look, and again, if I'm wrong, I will gladly be wrong, but it won't be because I won't be wrong because we felt like Johnny was, and I'm sorry to keep calling him what's his name. I just keep forgetting his last name, but we're not about to sit here and compare this dude to Kenny Atkinson, bro. We're not sitting here about to compare this dude to even JB Bickerstaff or to Steve Kerr. I'm sorry.
I don't want to. Yeah, and I don't want to compare coaching.
Well, it's hard not to compare when we're talking about examples.
I get it. I get it. I get it. But I think I don't think this is like the Knicks is not the only team in the history of the NBA to do something like this.
Sure.
And move on to a better option. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not setting a precedent.
Or move on to a different option.
A better.
You just said better.
Both.
You don't know. You don't know if this is a better option, and on paper,
this is
not a better option.
We don't.
Certainly on paper, this is not a better option.
We don't know that. We don't know that. But I think we need, before we start, and I'm seeing guys on social media already now the Knicks are stupid again. The Knicks are a terrible franchise once again.
I wouldn't call them a terrible franchise, but this is certainly a stupid move.
They're dumb.
I agree with that.
They're dumb. Maybe the decision is not a smart decision. We'll find out. But before we start criticizing the team, let's just see what they do first, and let's see what the results are next year.
They better bring in Giannis Antetokounmpo.
It's easy. I get it. It's easy. It's easy to criticize this move. I get it. It's easy. Bro. It's easy to put a target on this organization's back.
You understand why you understand.
I understand. Yes.
I ain't asked the question yet. I ain't asked the question yet.
Go Go ahead.
Do you understand why me and Tiffany was telling you the other week that Knicks fans about Knicks fans? Because if this was happening to the Indiana Pacers,
what as far as them firing Carlisle?
Firing Carlisle after you losing the Eastern Conference Finals, you'd be kicking his back. You'd be kicking the Pacers back in. You'd be kicking the Pacers back in. It ain't no way in hell that they would fire Rick Carlisle after losing in the Eastern Conference Finals, and you'd be on this podcast saying, "Well, maybe if they bring in Johnny, what's his name, I'm okay with that." Who
else is out there? What's the other options?
If you bring in Johnny, what's his name, you would say firing Rick Carlisle is a stupid move.
Okay.
If you brought in anybody of the caliber of Johnny, what's his name? Okay. And he was coaching the Indiana Pacers after Rick Carlisle lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah. You'd be saying that's a stupid move.
Yeah, because I don't root for the team.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. That's what we're saying about.
I don't watch 82 Pacer games a year. I watch 82 games of Knicks basketball. So I have a much more different opinion about it than somebody that doesn't watch Knicks basketball all 82 games a year.
My opinion is that your opinion is biased because you're a Knicks fan, because it makes absolute. If you look at Tom Thibodeau's trajectory,
wouldn't that make sense though? But wouldn't that make sense? Wouldn't a fan of the Knicks pay more attention to how he coaches and kind of see the argument for why they would move on from him? Well, versus a person that is not a fan of the Knicks, but maybe kind of catches a national game here or there every now and then.
So are you saying?
I think that's natural. Hold on. I think that's a natural thing.
It's not natural because you just told me you got Knicks fans calling them dumb for firing Thibodeau. So you got fans that have your opinion, which is fine.
Sure,
if that's your opinion. But you also have Knicks fans that saying this is a stupid move. Yeah. Because if you make the Eastern Conference Finals, so it's not natural. You just asked me a question. Isn't that a natural thing?
So let's bring the Pacers example back in this, and we gotta get Kelsey in here. Yeah. If Tiffany, let's say Tiffany said, "Hey, I understand why they moved on from Carlisle, but I would have wanted him back." Like I could kind of sit back and be like, you know what? I understand her perspective because she's a fan of the team. She watches the team 82 games a year. She watches the team during the playoffs. She's more in tune to the Pacers than I am as not a fan of the Pacers, but may watch a Pacer game or two throughout the regular season and not really know the insides of it.
Come on, bro. But you can also look at them in the playoffs and see that they were in the Eastern Conference Finals and say that whether you watch all 82 or you watch 8 or you didn't watch 0, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they changed the culture of this team. Firing him would be stupid. That's a stupid move, and that's just as a fair an assessment as it would be as you saying how you feel about the Knicks or your example about Tiffany and the Pacers. But what he's done, meaning going back to Thibodeau, what he's done in his 5 years. And what y'all lined up for the future based on the state of the Eastern Conference and the players you brought in and Cat and Mikal Bridges, legitimate scorers, that's an easy. I'm sorry, for me, that's an easy call. This was too soon. That's a stupid move.
And like I said, and I'll close it by saying this: you're not wrong. I understand the opinion. Other Knicks fans share your opinion. Other people that's not fan of the team share your opinion. But I also think there's people in the fan base that understand the move. I think there's people outside of the fan base that kind of understand the move. It's just right now, it's just a wait and see. I think the target is easy on the back of the organization because it feels like this is a stupid move that could potentially go bad. I even mentioned it, a couple of years ago that, hey, we get to this point, there might be a fear that culture goes out the door with him. It's highly possible. It's a wait and see, man. But like I said, man, thanks to Coach for bringing his team to relevancy into championship conversations. And we will see what happens. But I got to be honest with you. What are the great options out there? And you might say, well, that's more of a reason why you should keep Tom Thibodeau. And I can understand that point because of the fact that there aren't no great options that could get this team over the hump right at this moment.
I'll say this last thing in closing before you bring in Kelsey.
Yep.
If you can continue to say that Mark Jackson built the Golden State Warriors and got a raw deal for getting fired for Steve Kerr, regardless of what happens after this, then I can't see how you could not see that this Tom Thibodeau firing was too soon and unfair.
It's possible, highly possible that it's too soon. All right, let's get in Miss Kelsey Nicole Nelson right here. You could catch her on Fox 5 DC every now and then. Also, I want to shout you out too because you was just named in the dailyrecord.com for Maryland, Maryland's top 100 women. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Kelsey Nicole Nelson is here with us. Kelsey, it's been a while.
I know. Hi, fellas, and thank you so much for putting up with my crazy schedule. But I'm excited to be back with you guys. And you guys talked about it. I think everybody's day changed when we saw the news today because that was that was not what I was expecting. Not my bingo cards, for the day. But it's also why I love this industry because no day is the same. You never know you're going to get crazy news like this. So there is the difference in our week now with all eyes on New York and what will happen next.
Do you have an opinion about the firing?
You guys touched on so much. Maestro, I feel like I'm more with you. I didn't understand it. Like I saw it, my phone was going up and I was like, what in the hell? Like, does New York not notice when they actually have nice things and nice things that they can build on? I mean, the New York Knicks are back relevant. They have built something that the only thing left really is the championship at this point right now. They have proved they can go toe to toe, and obviously they didn't win the series. And I do think that first game of this series against the Pacers was almost like the turning point. And I think that's when people really quickly started to change, right?
Definitely
Tyrese hitting that shot, right? You go to overtime, a game that it didn't think like it was plausible. But as someone who has covered basketball in the NBA and the Eastern Conference and has seen a team like the Wizards way too many times, looking for coaches to work, looking for players to work, and just not seeing it happen. The fact that New York has had a gel and a mesh, right? You look at the players they brought in this year. I'm going to Minneapolis soon, and the fans have already told me, Kelsey, we hate Cat. Like, no conversation about him. And what he was able to do. I know there's people talking about that last game for him. Bringing in Bridges, like the changes that they made. I don't know. I think they could have still built with Tibbs. I think they let go too soon. Obviously, we know teams aren't loyal anymore, but I just think you're asking a new coach to do a lot, right? And you had something. Give Tibbs another year with Cat. Bill, right? And of course we have to see what happens with some of these pieces. But if I'm New York, I just didn't make sense to me, especially with how they finished, right? I think that was a decision that moved too far too soon. Maybe listening to disgruntled fans, but to me that just wasn't the way to go. So New York, I think the Bible says that you reap what you sow and they will reap what they sow. And I don't think it's going to be easy the next go around because again, you have to look at the East, obviously, we're all looking at, what will help them with Jason Tatum, right? A lot of eyes on Boston. What will happen with that, right? That's going to be a big question. Because, Boston was a favorite this year, right? And obviously we fell short. The Cavs are always in that conversation. I think, for the Cavs, it's always can they overcome the hump? Because the pieces are there, but for some reason it seems like they don't gel and mesh at the right time when it comes to the postseason. But regular season,
I've heard things that they're not tough enough. That's what they keep saying about the Cavs.
Yeah, so
that they're too soft.
Is it that they're not tough enough in the postseason? Because regular season, we like the Cavs. Regular season,
the Cavs are a great regular season team, but I think they're saying that they're soft when it comes to the postseason.
Yeah, okay. we got a rule here. You should.
I want to hear.
Yeah, we got a rule here because when you are continuously making the playoffs, if 1-4, we done talking about your regular season performance. We know you're going to be there. So it's why I've been tough on OKC, and obviously I'm taking that back now. But it's why we've been tough on OKC and the Cavs for the past few years because it's okay, you can make the playoffs. We get that. Yeah. But now you put all these pieces together, and now you're getting rid of bigger staff, and you're bringing in Kenny Atkinson. Okay, now we expect you to take the next step, and we don't know if you could take the next step. And for getting back to the Knicks, it's dog. for years, y'all have been considered. As far as I'm concerned, it's the Boston and then it's the Knicks.
Right. It's like top contender.
Yeah, it's like, why would you break it up? Why would you break it up when you got him for 3 more years? And now you owe him $30 million and you got to hire a new coach. It is, hey, Trey. So the rule is that, like, as far as the Cavaliers, we don't even talk about regular season when the Cavaliers, because we know they're going to beat it.
We know they're going to be there.
It's no, like, when we calling them soft, is strictly because y'all not putting up the effort. Not effort. Effort is the wrong word. Y'all don't got what it takes yet. And it's not to say they're not going to get it.
Yep.
Y'all don't got what it takes to get to the finals yet. And if it's toughness, if it's mental toughness, if it's physical toughness, if whatever, look, they have their star in Donovan Mitchell. And I guess we're saying Tyrese Halliburton is, getting ready to be that guy. But, like, you gotta get past it. You gotta get past it. And I don't believe the Cavaliers, for that same reason that I'm gonna see who the Knicks hire. So maybe they get Giannis, like we've been talking. Like, maybe they get Giannis.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's hopeful.
If they do that, then I might change my tune. But
here's a theory, Maestro. I heard this on the radio earlier. So somebody said they could be searching for a star, and maybe that star doesn't want Tibbs to be the coach, and so get the coach out so you can go get the star. And I thought about it, and I was like, okay, that makes somewhat sense, but then you really got to know for sure that dude is going to come now. Now you got rid of him. Now you got to go cash in and bring the player you want to bring in. So,
all right, well, let's freestyle then. So it's like me and you believe that Giannis is gone.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
He comes to New York, and then what? We sitting the OG down. We sitting who am I? The three I'm forgetting. That's on top right now. Yeah, we sitting Bridges down.
He might be in the trade package, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Let's remember, Giannis ain't gonna cost cheap.
Not at all. You're giving up a lot.
You gonna give us some players now.
All right, but now you're cooking though, right? Because you think it's going to be if it's Giannis, you think it's going to just be Mikal Bridges?
Oh, of course not.
So now you're talking about getting
Mitch Robinson is going to be in that package. I think a Deuce McBride would be in that package.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So now you're talking about the guy you believe is going to be your future center and your sixth man off the bench, and your starting three is going to leave the Knicks. Their contributions are their contributions, and then Giannis is going to come in and change that with a new coach.
Well, like you said with the Raptors comparison, they got Nick Nurse, but they also traded for Kawhi Leonard. So
yeah.
You know
I mean, look, like I said. I mean, we only time will tell, but that is on today's date. I can't see I respect your optimism as a Knicks fan. I respect it.
Mm-hmm.
But ain't no objective person that got this news today gonna sit here and say that that's a good thing. That was a good thing.
They were all surprised because
we're all surprised.
Too soon of a move, though. I think just too soon of a move.
And I can respect that. I can respect that opinion. I was surprised by it. I was just on the Knicks podcast last night saying I would bring Thibodeau back for next year.
Yes.
But
season success,
but when I hear other Knicks fans who watch these games, like who watch all 82 games of the season, watch the whole playoffs, and is tuned into this team, I can understand the point of, hey, Tibbs doesn't play the bench this much. He doesn't make adjustments. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. Those things, there's a ceiling with his coaching style. Like, I can understand those points as well.
But Trey, I feel like the caveat of that, though, is like I heard Warriors fans doing that same thing this season with Steve Kerr. Like, I mean, honestly, I think you could do that with any coach, right? Anybody that watches every single game, you're going to have an issue with the coach, right? That's just natural. No coach is cool. So I hear what you're saying, but I'm like, is that enough though to get rid of Tibbs? Yes, because there have been different.
That's a good question to ask,
right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you want certain people to provide a spark off the bench, but I still think when you look at his track record, there's nothing there that says right now in this moment again with a team that's building, a team that shows they can literally get to the top level, falling just short. And a time like I'm old enough to remember when the Knicks were struggling, when they weren't relevant basketball. I'm old enough to remember when chips came and like what now the culture has been built back into. I love Knicks fandom right now. And so to get rid of something in that momentum that, again, the chemistry had with the guys, and to only think that when they left that locker room that last game, they all know that like what the next point is. I just think you disrupt that all again. You're hopeful for a new coach, right? A new coach would come in and the Knicks stink. Then what are Knicks fans going to say? Oh, well, it's the rebuild phase. Knicks don't want to go through a rebuild phase.
No,
right?
Like, not at this stage, no.
So I just don't know who you bring in to immediately like fix and gel. Of course, the pieces will matter. And if they're able to bring in somebody else, like Jalen Brunson's going to be Jalen Brunson. He's going to be able to deliver. But like the Knicks were a solid team. I know Knicks fans are taking it personal now. I know the Pacers have them in their feelings, but like things were still good. It was not ready to break up just yet.
It was certainly still good. I mean, could a fan look at that situation and say, we got two of the best players in the league, but also those two best players are terrible on defense, and we ain't never heard of a team with the two best players on the team being that bad at playing defense? That's a valid point. And I can
fire Tibbs because of that?
Huh?
So you fired Tibbs
is he not a defensive coach?
Are those not players on the court?
If we talk defense in the NBA, Trey, we could be here all day talking about
Come on, bro.
Sure. It's different. It's different. Everybody's scoring 100 points. I get that.
But I'm tired the way you reaching right now, bro. That's a crazy angle, bro. That's a crazy angle.
I don't think that's crazy.
You're saying in your mind, look, and again, I'm telling you, bro, this is what we was talking about you a couple weeks ago with Knicks fans. Y'all are like that's crazy to say that they fired Tom Thibodeau because Jalen Brunson and Cat don't play the best defense. because you bought Cat to the Knicks knowing he don't play defense. And look, maybe you didn't know that about Jalen Brunson before you bought him to the Knicks because he kind of played sparingly in Dallas, but it didn't take you long to realize.
I'm talking about the two on the court together. I'm not just talking about before that. I'm talking about those two on the floor at the same time.
So you fire him on the first year that you realize that Cat.
I'm not saying that that's what I would do. I'm saying that I think there's folks out there that have that mentality of
right. What we're saying is that don't make sense.
Something's got to happen there.
All we're saying is that don't make sense. That don't make sense. I need a better reason than you bringing in a player that you know don't play defense. You fired a coach when he come to do exactly what you knew he wasn't going to do.
So you think this roster is maximized offensively? You think to their potential?
I think you're missing the point because you just moved the goalpost. You just started talking to me about defense.
I just asked you a question.
Okay, no. But tell me I'm right about the defense part first because you can't fire a coach.
But that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. If your point is, I'm sorry, Kelsey, you had to be a part.
No, please.
If you're saying to me that it's possible, or you can understand a fan understanding that they fired him because their two best offensive players don't play defense, that's a terrible angle because you brought him in, meaning Cat, knowing he didn't play defense. And you had Jalen Brunson. You didn't just learn that he didn't play defense. Right. You had him. So you knew what you was bringing. What you hoped for is that you bought him Mikal Bridges, and he was going to play defense because he plays good defense. And you hoped that he was going to cover up Jalen Brunson, and he didn't for whatever because Rick Carlisle is a genius.
Yep.
But that's not Tom Thibodeau's fault, bro. That's Jalen Brunson's fault that he don't play defense. That's Cat's fault that he don't play defense. You can't put that on Thibodeau, especially in the first year.
Right.
Now, if you want to go to the offensive point, look, bro. You are black stat man to me. You give me more stats than I care to read. But wasn't they a top offensive team this year?
Regular season, yeah.
Okay.
Regular season.
So in one year,
playoffs is a totally different thing, bro.
Okay, so I'm watching these games. So you want to give me the ranking of?
I don't care about a ranking. I don't care about a ranking. I'm watching them on the court, and offensively they look just so disjointed. I'm just talking in the playoffs. I'm not talking regular season.
But now you're going to hold. But now you're going to. So now you're saying you're going to hold that against the defensive coach that you brought in because you know he's a defensive coach.
No, I'm not saying I'm doing that. I'm saying I think there's people in that building that look at that and say, okay, we don't feel like we're maximizing the talent on this offense enough.
I need some rumors, bro, because I believe I'm gonna tell you what I think.
Okay.
I think something going on in that locker room I think it's something. I don't think it's on court. I don't think this firing was on court. I don't think it was an on court issue. I don't know.
Okay.
I would love, any Knicks insiders that know, holler at me, tweet, at Maestro Styles everywhere. I want to know the dirt, the tea, because it ain't no way in hell that's any of these reasons that we outlined based on your fan base. That's the reason you fire him. It's
there's nothing clear in context.
There's nothing logical. There's nothing logical that I've heard you say. I can understand this angle. There's nothing you said that makes sense to me that's logical and sound to say this is the reason that we're firing Tom Thibodeau when you look at what he's done.
Okay.
Because even if you because let's say you lost in the semis last year, you bring in Cat and Mikal Bridges, and then you go a step further. And I know that's your go-to. If you do better the prior year, that's your go-to. That's every reason.
Should always be the bar.
Yeah, it's progression every year. So to fire him on a year of progression because you didn't feel like offensive efficiency was the best in the playoffs this year, but you got to step further.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, I'm not jacking it, bro. It's something grimy. It's something nasty happened in New York, bro. That's what I'm jacking. Something nasty happened. Something nasty happened. If it comes out, clip it up, Trey. If it comes out that some scandal or something crazy happened, remember I said it. It had nothing to do with on the court efficiency. It's no way. It's no way.
All right. Look, I follow some of the best Knicks content creators on here. Some of them will tell you after that Game 2 loss to the Pacers that they were hearing some things that it could get real bad for him. But we kind of, at least for myself, I just kind of brushed it aside and said, oh, I don't think they're going to do anything. Like, I think we're just seeing right now, we're seeing a better team in the Pacers, which I've talked about even before the series started, that this Pacers team improved from last year. And the way they improved wasn't by roster. It was them improving, playing better in pressure situations like they didn't do against Boston last year.
Or maybe chemistry.
Right, because they kept the core. Core.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing. You do have to give the Pacers credit, right? Because at the beginning of this season, we had questions about the Pacers, right? There was questions about Tyrese Halliburton when he had that slump and how they were really able to turn around, right, the second part of the season and then be back here, right? And Tyrese Halliburton hearing all the noise, right? All the comments, about him and what he was able to do. But I really do think that team really focused on the chemistry building together. And you can see it on the court, right? I mean, with Tyrese Kidd's credit, not only is he scoring, he's doing the assists. Pascal Siakam was able to find his groove and his rhythm. Everybody was able to step up, I feel like, when they needed to step up most and in the presser situations, right? Like, this is why Tyrese is earning some credit right now. We're not calling him a superstar yet, but a budding star. That's how he was able to deliver, right? And even with the controversy with his dad and everything, right? All these things that happen, even again, off the court, but they were still able to focus and keep the main thing. And like you said, improve from what we were talking about with them last year, right? In terms of some of the problems they had. So I hear what you're saying about the Knicks, but I also think the Pacers deserve so much more credit for what they were able to do. That's why I'm excited for this finals.
How much chance you give them against OKC?
It's going to be interesting. I think this is going to be one of the better finals. I know it might not be one that everybody's watching. I can't tell you how many people are like, oh, nobody wants to watch Indy. But look, I have onset live in Indianapolis. Indy is a basketball town, so do not discount Indiana and OKC as well. I think we're going to honestly have great games. It's hard, right? Because OKC, you want to talk about chemistry too, a team that meshes. And you can tell those guys really like each other. They know their spots, right? Shea, an underrated MVP that needs to be talked about more. Chet Holmgren and what he deserves to be talked about so much, more. Jalen, there's so many guys that deserve, I think, so much more credit on that team. But everybody knows their role and they mesh with it and they're comfortable with it. And then I also think with them, you have different X factors that can step up. But I'll tell you what I like about Indy. I think there's momentum there. You beat the Knicks, right? You're shutting up Knicks fans. They had the overtime win. They had the big wins on the road. And again, I think they're sparking at the right time. And last year left a distaste in their mouth. So honestly, I know everybody's really riding high on OKC, but I would say do not discredit Indiana and the Indiana Pacers and what they're able to do. I think the hard part though is I like OKC on both sides of the basketball, right? I like them defensively. You want to talk about a team that can play defensively? OKC will give you that. And talk about rim protection, which means Indy can shoot the three ball well at times. Like talk about maybe having to do the perimeter shots, but OKC will bring it at you. They're not afraid to play physical. I like the pace of both teams. But I would just say I think so many people are discounting Indy so quickly. Remember, if we're looking at depth too, in terms of this, don't discredit the Indiana Pacers. And I think who can hopefully, step up as that kind of next man up role for the Indiana Pacers.
I'm looking at OKC's path to getting here, right? So, and look, you play who's on your schedule, but I found it interesting after looking back. They played the two teams that fired their coaches with 10 or less days left in the regular season, right? But yet Denver was still able to give them a series in that, 7-game series, right? Would the Pacers be the best team that OKC faces throughout this run? I mean, you could make a case for the Wolves, but the way the Wolves played wasn't really... it
wasn't what we expected.
It's Denver. Denver was their best competition. I mean, Joker is the Joker. The core is the core. They know what they want to do and how they want to do it. They were just a better team. They pressure. When they want to play defense, they pressure better than anybody in the league right now.
Caruso made the Joker look silly in a couple of them games.
And so now you're talking about a point guarding a center and being effective. It's that type of stuff that it's just bro, OKC. This is what I'll say. I have been reminded how I just so gallantly said the Knicks was going to win this series. I've been reminded constantly by certain people in certain group chats. She know who she is. So I will be respectful this time. I'm going to pick OKC, but I will pick OKC in 7.
Okay.
So I'm going to be
finally giving the Pacers.
I'm going to give the Pacers, and more importantly, I'm going to give OKC their respect because I haven't been high on OKC all year. I got to eat crow. Shout out to ABM. ABM, you was right. My bad.
Yep.
I was all right. Players fuck up sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I was wrong. OKC is for real. They ready. They was ready this year, and I think they winning it. I think they winning it.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Mike Patton. He said probably the deepest team that they've played, but certainly not the best. I could agree with that.
Yeah, I think it was Denver. I think it was Denver.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it was Denver also, even with the coach change and all that. But they still had the continuity down packed here. So I'm gonna pick OKC in 6 games. I just think the defense. I just think the defense, the way they pressure you. The way they, they get their hands on the ball, the way they transition defense, turn it into transition offense. The way they and look, the Pacers do some of the same things.
Yeah.
But if you're asking me who is more likely to turn the ball over, much more in this series, I think the Pacers are more likely to turn the ball over than OKC is. So that's why I'm going to give OKC in 6.
Yeah, and a young team, right? You're talking about young guys. I like OKC a lot. Like I said, hear me out. But I don't know, just almost just something is telling me it might just be the Pacers' time. They've been waiting for that respect.
Long time.
A long right. They've continually been building. They're not a team that gets talked a lot about, right? In the national media. Right, small market team, if you want to think about it that way.
Right,
and you could say OKC the same, right? I mean, OKC has been good for a while, and so we're not talking about them enough. But I do think defense is going to matter in this one. But I also will say I see it maybe going in 7. But I think the rim protection is going to be the interesting thing to watch. But that's why I'm if anybody's able to actually get hot and be able to shoot the 3 ball, I do think that will be the team that hopefully, will find itself on top after the 6, which might force, obviously, after 6, feeling momentum to go into that game 7. But I'm excited for this one because I feel like it's more evenly matched. Like I'm loving looking at, Shea, can score, but like I think Tyrese doesn't give enough credit though, again, for his assist and dish, like in the way he's able to set guys up, for what it's for. Again, unselfish basketball. Unselfish basketball. But
I am a proponent of the playoffs are made for stars. And right now, if you asking me who I trust in that star power conversation, SGA versus Tyrese Halliburton, I'm picking SGA. And if you want to go down, down further down the line, do I trust Jalen Williams over Pascal Siakam?
I'll give it to Siakam. I'll be honest with you. That's easy. That's easy for me. That's easy for me.
Look, and obviously Jalen has been spotty, in the playoffs, obviously. But I don't know, something about this moment, something about here's my I don't want to say critique, but my analysis of Pascal Siakam. Like Pascal Siakam is obviously a good player. I mean, you agree that he's more of a number 2 type of guy than he is a number 1 type of guy. But I think while he may be capable of putting a team on his back, he's less likely to do it. And I feel like SGA would be willing to put it on his back if it's necessary. And I think Jalen Williams would be willing to put it on his back if for some reason SGA couldn't. And I think that's going to be the difference. I don't get, you know my rule. It's hard for point guards to be able to put it on their back and take over a game, take over a series. It's hard for them to do that. It's hard.
Do you view SGA as that though? Like
no, I don't. I view Tyrese Halliburton that way. That's why I'm giving the nod to the Thunder. That's why I'm giving the nod to the Thunder. Caruso ain't got no problem dishing, setting up.
He knows his role.
Yeah, because there's no pressure on him to have to score. If he give you 20, it's because that's what was open for him. Yep. Whereas Tyrese Halliburton, if they have an offensive slump, he's being asked to do 2 things. He's being asked to be the master facilitator he is, and then he's being asked to put it on his back. If you put it on his back, then now you got wing players sitting on the sidelines waiting for you to do something. You know what I'm saying? So if you asking him to do that, then that slows down with the game plan of the Pacers are, which they want to play more team-oriented ball. So it's just kind of tough. It's going to be real tough, I think, when it gets to them moments, unless they don't get into the moments. Now, obviously, the Pacers can run the Thunder off the floor, and they never have to get into a situation where it gets tight and somebody got to put the team on their back. But I don't think that's going to happen with the Thunder. The Thunder run just as much as the Pacers. They run just as much as the Pacers.
See, Siakam's got finals experience with Toronto as a number 2.
As a number 2?
As a number 2. So getting back to the Jake Williams and Siakam comparison.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm going with Siakam just based off of the experience previously, plus what he did in a series against the Knicks.
Yes, that MVP for a reason.
Yeah. Do you agree with that, by the way, Maestro?
It was close.
It was close. It was definitely close.
Go ahead and say
it was definitely close. It could have gone
I think Halliburton.
He had the points and the assists. Yeah, it was close, but I'm happy for Siakam.
Yeah,
again, you're looking especially purely at scoring and what he was able to do.
And he needed that moment. Like to see him get 39 in the game was like, oh, okay, like that's what's up. Like that's what's up, because we might not never see it again, but that's what's up. And so it's but Tyrese Halliburton is the person that is consistent. Like when Pacers are doing bad, they're not saying Pascal Siakam save us. They're not doing that. And because this team it's running through Tyrese Halliburton. It just is. For right, wrong, or indifferent, the team runs through Halliburton, and his stats are just as good when you compare the total game. Not just points, but points, assists, what you contribute to the game. I think he's contributed. If you want to say they contributed equal, then the pressure that's on Tyrese Halliburton should have been what made him the ECF MVP.
Yeah, I think those players they do 2 different things. So, like you said about Tyrese, he can dish the ball, he can assist, he can shoot, he can score. Siakam is more of a he's got that fadeaway jumper. He can get in the paint, he can rebound for you. They do so many different things.
Yeah.
And like you said, Kelsey, it was real close. Like there were some games where Tyrese was off, but there was also some games where, you couldn't find Siakam when you needed a bucket. So, I'm fine with whoever they gave it to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy for Siakam that, he finally gets this second opportunity in the finals. Like, let's, you know what I mean? Like, let's be clear. Like, this dude don't get talked about in these circles enough.
But you gotta keep it a buck, bro. You gotta keep it a buck. We were shitting on him. Me and you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. When they gave him the money, of course.
Yeah. So
of course.
You both were shitting on him. Like, oh, of course. That's what y'all gave him. Oh, all right. Because yeah. So all right. So I want to be fair. I'm happy for him. I hope he nothing but prosperous things for him. But I'm not about to sit here and act like all of a sudden I'm a big Pascal Siakam fan, and I still think that he's number 2 to Tyrese Haliburton at this moment.
Absolutely.
Some might if he come out this finals and win it, and he averaging 29 and going crazy. All right, then we'll have a different conversation.
Finals MVP, dare I say? Finals MVP.
Yeah, well, I don't got him winning, so.
No, I'm saying if they do win, if the Pacers win the whole thing.
Well, it gotta be what he did.
Yeah, he's got a case. He's got a strong case.
Well, ain't no games in play yet, but I mean, I guess.
Sure. They're gonna need Siakam to step
Definitely
up.
gonna need Siakam.
Yeah, for sure.
If he doesn't show up, there's no way the Pacers.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because if Halliburton's got to do it all, they're not gonna come out on top with this.
Right.
I mean, I feel like he's gonna have to average more than 20.
Outside of Siakam and Tyrese, who do you think that third player that steps up is gonna have to be?
I don't believe Nembhard, and I don't. But I like what
Miles Turner
did. Miles Turner. Okay.
For me.
Okay.
Yeah.
He wants it. Like he.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Longest tenured Pacer, right? Like 10
years.
Right?
He's been there through thick and thin. So make sure you don't believe you said and who.
I don't believe Nembhard at all. So that was the first person that came to mind because again, I'm more of a playoffs, fourth quarters are made for wing players type of guy, wing players and 2 guards. Like that's kind of more of my philosophy. So like your big man, he'll get it done 1 through 3. He'll hold it down. He'll make a defensive play, but like it's fourth quarter when it's tight, get out the way, let your wingman create offense. Get to the cup.
I get you. That's why you're not in there. What about Nesmith?
I like Nesmith, but I mean, from what I've seen him, he's a good 3-point shooter. Like I don't know if he's gonna be that guy. Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna be that guy though. I don't know if he's gonna be that guy.
I feel like one of these games he's gonna show up.
Like, for sure. Like have one of those. Yeah, go have one of those 25, 27 point type games. Yeah.
And what's the kid that come off the bench for them? Mathurin.
O'Connell.
No, Mathurin. Benedict Mathurin.
Oh yeah,
he can have one of those because look, Carlisle, and we didn't talk about this, but in terms of coaching edges, Carlisle for me gets the coaching edge over Dagnall. But this bench is so good enough that anybody can come off the bench and drop 20 just like that. And Benedict had one of those games, during the Knicks series. I think he could be a guy that could surprise you in a game 3, a game 4, something like that. Yeah.
I guess, but I mean, I ain't gonna hold you. It's hard. It's going to be difficult to deal with SGA, Jalen Williams if he decides that he want to turn up, and Chet, And Chet,
yeah.
And Chet, dog.
Talked about enough, man.
Yeah,
he brings it.
Yeah, that's tough to that's tough to deal with. That's tough for anybody to deal with. If Chet decide he want like Jalen Williams and Chet decide they want to turn up, yeah, bro, that's gonna be tough for the Pacers to deal with because if you giving the edge on the second best player to Siakam over Jalen Williams, you certainly not giving the edge to Miles Turner over Chet Holmgren at this stage. Or are you?
And I'm thinking about Miles Turner being open for threes. He's not going to be open that much for open threes because if Chet goes out there, OKC got nothing to worry about in the paint because Hartenstein is going to be there waiting for you.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
So not going to be a lot of opportunities for Miles Turner for threes. That's for sure. I want to give a quick shout out to that was our guy JR Gamble
what
in
up?
the chat on Twitter right there.
Oh, there you say JR.
Yep. So Kelsey, how are you feeling about the NFL draft coming to the nation's capital?
Oh my gosh. How is anybody not feeling like finally DC gets some respect? You know, I have to remind folks sometimes, like, this is the nation's capital, like, and football bleeds through here. I don't think any place is going to do it like DC, you know, just seeing some of the renderings that they're thinking about. One, even just for the simple fact that, like, DC is one of the easiest places, I think, to travel to. You think about East Coast, right? Folks can hop on the train, take the subway. Like, I mean, just in getting around the city is super easy, right? Our bus system, our transit system. But I love this timing for DC. Like, we're talking about bringing the team back to the nation's capital, which I feel where it rightfully belongs. Bringing the draft here, so special, especially at a time, right, when things are going right for this Washington team, right? At a time when the Commanders are hitting, like, you know, trying to hit a stride. They were a game short, y'all, of New Orleans, which is so wild to think about, right? In JD5's first year. We have an ownership and leadership group that's not being ridiculed anymore. People taking them seriously, you know, about what they're doing. Like, how the off-field stuff is finally, like, not, you know, the attention. If anything, we're seeing the good in the off-field stuff, right? Them sporting, them being out in the community, you know, like, just the good things. So I'll just say, I think it's long overdue. I think it's long overdue. For the life of me, I don't understand why big events don't come here to Washington, D.C. in quite a while, at least like in my lifetime since I've been here. But people before me will tell me, like, how lit things were when, like, big events would come here. How do you not come to D.C.? How do you not come to DC?
I don't get it neither. But I tell you, you know, because obviously me and Trey, we plan on being there. We gonna turn up when
you have to.
Yeah, definitely.
National Mall lit up.
Yeah, we turning up.
Nothing like it.
Yeah, but I was putting the word out to all the YNs out there, and I don't usually use the term YNs. Hey. We coming for content.
First time I've heard you say that way.
Because I don't like personally. I don't like the
coming
term.
into the heart of the city.
Personally, I don't like. Personally, I don't like the term YN. I prefer just young nigga. But I'm old, so you know. But you know,
that's what I'm saying.
But hey, y'all. I'm reminded that we'll be out there. But hey, chill, just chill. We want more stuff to come back through here. Take it easy.
That's really, you know what? But
potential Super Bowl, dare I say, potential hosting the Super Bowl.
They need
the stadium goes up.
It needs to happen. I mean, like, again, it's Washington D.C. You're talking about, like, them restoring RFK, the history in RFK, a storied franchise, right? One of the most profitable franchises in the National Football League. I think it's only right. Roger Goodell's connection to the area, being from the area, right? Like, there's so many different storylines here. You have to bring it. I think you have to bring it to D.C. There's no other option. Why a Super Bowl wouldn't be the nation's capital just doesn't make sense to me. So it's time. Like, y'all have put DC in timeout long enough. It's time to really relinquish, I think, the momentum that's building here in Washington. I really do think a DC Super Bowl would be Vegas numbers, and I'm putting that on record. I really do. I think huge numbers. DC doesn't.
So was Vegas the highest of all the places they've had?
I feel like it, right? Because Vegas was fun, right? First time out there, right? And then it's Vegas, right? So who didn't want to go down to Vegas? I would love to compare that, though, to the New Orleans numbers. New Orleans was lit too. But I do know New Orleans lost some people, obviously, because of that terrorist attack that occurred right before.
Right.
And that's why they have the extra security in New Orleans. Yeah. But all that to say, New Orleans was still fun. But I'm pretty sure Vegas was the highest numbers. Like, it was people everywhere in Las Vegas. And so you know it's probably going to go back there. But you have to bring it right. And let me tell you, I love a Super Bowl in New Orleans, but like DC, and I think, like I said, the momentum right now that Mayor Bowser has with all the good things happening in the city, like, this is the time, and I can say this on this show. I think how beautiful it would be for a Black woman to bring a Super Bowl to a city that used to be known as Chocolate City. Like, I just agree.
I agree. And not for nothing, if y'all don't RG3 this situation with Jaden Daniels, y'all look like y'all should be in the runnings to maybe be in that Super Bowl. So, you know what I'm saying?
The Commanders look good as hell last year. You know what? I like JD5, and I don't want the sophomore slump. You know, you can look at CJ Stroud first year, right? For second year. Not saying that's Jaden Daniels. I think the difference on Jaden Daniels, everyone talks about his work ethic, his leadership. And look, I'm tired of people criticizing Miss Jackson. I love that he's a mama's boy. I love that she's involved because he's not getting in any trouble, right? Like, I mean, he's focused focusing on what needs to be focused on, and she's going to make sure she's there. So I feel like he's in the right place. His leadership from veterans has been talked about. He's bonding with guys, right? He was just at games with Debo. Like, he's doing all the work that needs to be done. And I think the best thing about him is his demeanor, right? Calm, collected. He's not getting big-headed, right? We're not seeing him on boats with Cardi B and stuff like that, right? Like, he's doing what he needs to be doing right now.
He didn't deserve that. Didn't deserve that.
And no, we have love for Stephon Diggs. He's from the area, he's from my area.
Yes,
but,
indeed.
I like my football guys focusing on football things, right?
Yeah, Stephon living his life right now.
Too good of a life.
I'm about to say they've been saying he been outside for a long time before Cardi B. So yeah, that's what they say.
I like my guys. Like that, just focus on the main things, right? Like I said, look what's happening with Jaden, right? He's out supporting the Mystics, right? We see that in the community, right? Like again, just the things you want your young rookies to be focused on. Especially, like I said, this is a Commanders franchise that has had it been through turmoil. For being honest, with quarterbacks, right? So it finally feels like this is the guy. Dan Quinn also deserves so much credit as well. Adam Peters, like so many names that deserve credit, but I think the bar is high. And honestly, who's everybody talking about the NFC East? It's Philly and it's the Commanders, right? Like it's kind of, I think, one of those teams to lose.
Yeah, that division gonna be interesting though, because Dallas.
I'm about to say Dallas.
I wouldn't count Dallas out.
I have questions.
Me too.
Dallas, I don't think will be bad, but I still not fully sold into Dak. I still think Jerry has a lot of things going on too that he's trying to figure out. Dallas is going to be the question mark. Like last year, I thought the Commanders were the question mark team, right? Like we knew New York wasn't going to do anything. We knew what Philly was going to do. I think we had higher expectations for Dallas. The Commanders were the question mark team because JD5 was a rookie, right? And so we just didn't know what was going to happen with that. This year, Dallas is a question mark team because I still don't know if all the pieces that they acquired, will it be enough? Because the NFC East is going to be competitive, minus the Giants.
Make sure the Giants. We don't know. We don't.
Minus the Giants.
The Giants won't be good.
We don't know about them. We don't.
Sorry to those New York
fans. University of Maryland question for you. I watched the tournament. I watched both men's and ladies.
Yeah.
Have some great tournament runs.
Yeah.
But the whole Kevin Willard thing with the coach. Can you provide a little bit of insight?
You are getting into hurtful territory. Oh my gosh. I will say this. I know fans were mad at Kevin Willard because they felt like he had accepted the deal earlier. But at the end of the day, this is on the athletic administration. Like at the end of the day, you got to pay your athletic directors. At the end of the day, you got to pay everybody, honestly, in a university department because we're in an era of NIL. We're in an era of competition. And the way that the whole athletic situation went down, they had a chance to give Willard a contract, y'all, way before it could have got to this point. Right. The conversation should have been started. There's questions about when the previous athletic director, Damon Evans, had started talking, right, to his new school, right, at SMU. Like, there's just so many questions here. The communication wasn't like it went to. And I can't blame Willard, who's not going to go to a big school, right, like, and play at that next level. I mean, I think it's the same they said with Deion Sanders. Like, people get mad when people go on and move on, but that's kind of the point of coaching, right? Like, it's not the coaching legacy isn't what it used to be, right? You don't get guys like Eddie Robinson's at school.
Right.
For a long time just coaching there because they truly love what they're doing, love what they're building, and love the guys. Right now, guys are trying to get paid. And let's be honest, that budget that he's getting paid now was going to probably be much more than what Maryland was offering him. Right. And I know everyone's talking outside. I do think the transparency could have been better. But at the same time, Kevin Willard, I think he was as much as he could trying to keep his team focused on what they needed to be focused on the tournament. Yeah. And I have no hate against the guy. He brought back a feeling of Maryland basketball, y'all, that hasn't been felt in a while. I mean, y'all, I still remember that Derek Queen shot. I'm from Baltimore. Who you had to ride for. This was the first year. I always put Maryland in my winning bracket, but this is the first year I felt like for the men's side that they actually could do it. I really do. I really, really do. Like
I put them there too.
The guys that meshed, it was beautiful. And I hate that it's broken up. I think Buzz is he's going to have a time, right, trying to build back because he lost so many important pieces. But that Maryland basketball, they were special. They were special. I went to some games early on and I saw the specialness, of them. And I think, give Kevin Willard props for who he was able to bring in, that team he was able to. Yeah. But essentially people just didn't like how the exit left. But to be honest, whoever likes a breakup, nobody ever. Yeah.
No, right? Unless it was bad.
But even then, they probably still keeping tabs. Like that's just how people do it. And that's how it, but again, I think, I know Derek Queen was like making light of it, but he had a really special connection. I appreciate Kevin Willard too for helping to bring back what we've called for a long time at Maryland, local guys to the school. It's something that's been talked about a long time ago. Right now, there's some questions about Buzz and if he will try to do something with bringing some local people on that coaching staff to help bring back that local guys, right? Recruit Gary Williams was asked. I mean, this has been a long conversation. Right?
Yeah. Hit that Baltimore market.
You gotta hit Baltimore, and then you gotta hit DC. There is
you gotta hit DC. You gotta hit DC for
and
real.
They all go. But Kevin was able to do that. So give him his. I mean, you look at the timeline he was at Maryland. He built. He built, and like I said, reestablished. My only thing for Kevin, and he talked about in multiple games, I do wish College Park should have been full, honestly, a lot of those second half of the games, and it was not. So for somehow, some way, even though the product was on the court, I hope Buzz is able to bring back, again, just butts and seats in College Park, butts and seats in Xfinity Center, because Maryland basketball deserves better, but but also I think he did handle it with grace. Like he wasn't snotty to the fans. You didn't hear him speak till he got in his new seat right at Villanova. I think he did it as classy as he could, knowing the hate, knowing the boos that were there, knowing about him.
Right.
It clearly was a distraction, though. Like to have that conversation during the tournament run.
But everybody was.
Yeah.
All these coaches were nowadays because the money. I'm just saying, that's just how it is now. Like coaches are having these conversations.
That's true.
Yeah, just part of the game.
Right? They were the university, right? That was like the Cinderella story for a while. Then their coach went to NC State. That conversation had to happen, right? And it's just real. If your coach is doing good, and like these are college athletes, like those conversations are starting to take place because that's the world of the college athletics right now, right? Like the best coaches are going to leave, and get more money at top schools, and that's essentially what he did.
And what are the odds? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I was just what are, in your mind? What are the odds that the Wizards land Queen?
Oh my gosh. I have given up on the Wizards and just good things happening. I tell people that DC has prepared me for so much heartbreak. Just good things don't happen, right? Like even the draft pick, it should have been what? Just good things don't happen. I would love it. I'm always for the hometown kid coming home, right? I love the Bub connection and him being able to play for the Wizards, and I'm excited to see him help him grow. I will say, though I love Aaliyah, I was, for the Mystics on the other side of the ball. I wanted them to bring Angel here. They had a chance to do that as well.
Yeah, we talked about that.
I think the organization is interesting, though, when it comes to hometown guys. But if we look at the Wizards could use a lot right now. I think Derek is going to be a project. I like Derek Queen a lot, but I still do think he's going to be a little bit of a project in the NBA, right? It's just going to be a little learning adjustment period. I would like it, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
With the shape of the Eastern Conference, what are the chances the Wizards could play themselves into a play-in situation?
Well, first I want to see how this draft goes. Look, the Wizards are building, right? But let's be honest. Where did they finish in the East this year?
14th, 15th.
They were at the bottom. They were at the bottom.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think so?
They were at the bottom.
Yeah, they were at the bottom.
They were.
Yeah, I can testify that they were at the bottom.
This is
not new to them. This is what's kind of become the norm. And, they can keep saying they're working on the rebuilding. I love the young pieces they brought in. Those young pieces and we're talking about the East right now. We're talking about these guys that they're going to have to go up against. Are these young guys ready for that in year two, right? Alex Sarr, we started to see the growth, towards the end of the season, at the beginning of the season. People calling him a bust and everything. I think Bub gets a lot of love. And I love how he plays. I love his intensity. I think he brings it all, in the court. Who else am I forgetting? George. There's just so many. I think he's another one that's he's budding and going in the right direction, but Trey, I can't sit here and tell you that they're going to get, but there's Wizards, I think, are at least a good 2-3 more years in rebuild mode. At least.
Interesting. So, and what
and
the
you talk about
did,
stars. What star wants to come to DC? Let's be honest. DC is not an attractive market anymore.
Which is crazy to me.
Like that's
the nation's capital, but nobody wants to come and play here.
That's crazy.
We need to set them on the
remember that short instance they had Chris Paul and he was right out of there. Chris Paul had nothing to do with this.
Oh, let's be clear. I wanted him gone. He couldn't have left faster for me. So
that's crazy.
People don't want to play in DC. Like I mean, I always said, like, my crazy theory is I think KD will come here at the very intel of his career just to say he played in the hometown, right? Like, it'll be that Jordan.
Need your Michael Jordan antics. I don't
That's
need your
what I was
Michael
gonna
Jordan
say.
antics.
It's like that Jordan thing. But just to say he played in the hometown, but like, I mean, think about it, right? Like, we talked about Giannis. Trey, is Giannis considering coming to the Wizards?
No.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, and the Wizards need a superstar. Like, let's not be wrong.
Yeah.
Like, the last time the Wizards were good, they had to have stars. And so, honestly, I knew the Wizards were done when the whole Bradley Beal trade happened. And of course, I know some folks were excited about that because the money part of that. And then look what's since happened, right? Unfortunately, right, for Bradley. But all that to say, like, just right now, they don't have anything attractive for the star to come here to DC. The older star, yes. But not the young budding star that they need to really build with these young guys, right?
You're right. You're right. I mean, I'm a Wizards fan, unfortunately. So
a play-in spot next year, man.
Look, I'm gonna tell you,
that's even hopeful, though. That's hopeful.
Look at the East. But look at the Eastern Conference.
Okay,
there's no more Jimmy Butler in Miami, so you kind of expect the Heat to kind of.
I don't even know if they could beat the Heat, though.
Nah, I don't believe.
If you're just saying, look, I'm not about to speak negative. I'm not about to speak. You're not about to bait me into speaking negative about the Wizards right now, Trey. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing.
I'm not trying to talk negative. I'm just talking realistic. Because I want
but he think he's slick. Oh, y'all got a shot. What about the Heat? And then he gonna have me talk about, but the Heat, like the Heat is obviously, even though they're not the best team right now and all the things, they're still obviously a couple of steps ahead of the Wizards. He wanted me to get, and then he's like he gonna get into the what about these guys? And it's like, bro, like we not good right now. Like it's not even a real conversation right now.
Look, okay,
let's get a coach.
Yep.
Let's get somebody that's going look. I like
what Detroit did, like what the Pistons did from last season to this season.
I like Bub Currington at that point. I think he's going to be, as he develops as a point, that's going to be good for Jordan if Jordan stays. I like Bilal. I like Alex Sarr. I think if we bring in
and Bilal Coulibaly has
I like him. I think if we bring Queen, I get that he's going to be a project because like I tell Trey, I'm not super high on him. I like him. I want him to come to Washington, but I'm not like super high on his how he's going to immediately translate to the NBA. I'm not high on that either.
I feel like a Thomas Bryant-ish could be with Derek.
But I feel like he can start for the Wizards at center right now, and then you can move Sarr to power forward, Coulibaly to 3, and with the right coach, you can cook. But all that got to happen before you're going to have me have a real conversation about us getting to a play-in.
And that's what I feel like about this. What I said about New York. Like, if you want to talk about coaches, the Wizards fans can talk about coaches and what it is to bring in a good coach.
Man, imagine us having Tom Thibodeau and him doing what he did for y'all, for us, for 5 years, winning the Eastern Conference Finals. Man, I'd be in here. We'd still be talking about it right now. We'd still be talking about it. I'd be cussing. I ain't trying to. I'm not trying to.
And I would enjoy every second of it. Sure.
I'm definitely not trying to hear about. Not to bring up Johnny what's his name up again, but I'm not trying to hear about Johnny what's his name.
Johnny Bryant don't deserve these strays. He don't deserve these strays.
I just can't remember his last name, but he don't deserve that. He don't deserve that.
No, he doesn't. He does not.
I'm sorry, John.
Kelsey.
Yeah, it's been tough. I think the last time I was really excited was that Paul Pierce foot on the line, which I'm still mad about. But we won't go there.
Facts.
We won't go there.
Facts.
So, WNBA. Your biggest story of the WNBA so far through, I guess 8 games. The Liberty, the champion New York Liberty. At least I gotta.
That's the storyline right there, Trey. The Liberty are doing with the Liberty.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, they look good. They look like they could repeat. Yes. I mean, someone texted me the other day, like, what the hell happened to Connecticut Suns? That's the other storyline.
100 to 52, Maestro.
Yeah.
Y'all, that should not be a real I thought they were joking. Like, and I turned on the game.
It was bad. It was bad.
That's like as bad as it gets. Like, I don't know if there's going to be a worse score this season than the W. And, even the Indiana Fever, I know they've been a talking point, right, with Caitlin Clark-Less. And, of course, we know she'll be coming back. But, they do look like a much different team, right, without Caitlin. Kelsey Mitchell, there's been questions about her, DeWanna Bonner. I think what she's been able to do, right, we saw her get the scoring record, but can you build consistency? Sophie Cunningham having to get healthy, but what she's able to do off the bench. Like, there's been a lot of questions, I think, about the Indiana Fever because the expectations were high, right, with the pieces that they brought in. Lexi Hull, I actually love
and
how
the coach
that
they brought in.
The new coach, right? And then you get so Lexi was another one I thought that was good last season. I think that just needs to find some consistency. You bring in Tick Colson, right? As well. So I feel like the Indiana
Fever.
I almost said Merker. I'm trying to give them a whole new name. Pacers are still in my mind. But the Indiana Fever, and again, having a chance to see them last week in Baltimore, which, by the way, was absolutely magnificent. Bring back more basketball games to Baltimore. Have to put that out there. But they need her. Yeah. And that's what worries me, about Indiana.
I don't think the league is, because I've seen all kinds of discourse about with Caitlin missing 2 weeks to heal from the injury and talking about how the ratings are going to suffer, nobody's going to be interested. And not that I keep track of ratings, but I don't think the league is suffering. Like, the Liberties sell out their building every night.
Yes, and no one gives them credit. The Ace, let's remember, there's an Aces team that exists too.
Right.
Who has a really good player on their basketball team, which, by the way, everyone caught the Asia Wilson shoe. But, it's wild to me, and I get it, right? Caitlin, I know she has like a very passionate tribe, of fans. But again, like even the game in Baltimore when the injury was announced, and not saying that some people didn't buy their tickets for Caitlin, but like it was
that a sellout, by the way, in Baltimore?
I believe they're clarifying it as a sellout.
Okay.
Right. And so you moved to Baltimore, right? CFG Bank Arena, right? Downtown Baltimore. And it was still a vibe. Like people, and it was a good game. Mystics ended up winning that game, which, by the way, you talk about storylines with Kiki, it's Sonia. The rookies have been able to do it. Of course, I hate what happened to Georgia, but like the Mystics have been a storyline, team that had struggled, but the rookies have been the storyline of it. And shout out to, this rookie class. Not saying that they're going to get to championship level, but what a turnaround for this, Mystics team. Hey. You talk about, a team that people have wrote off and didn't fully know. But they've been fun basketball. Shakira Austin coming back healthy was big. Brittany Sykes, that Mystic squad, I think, has something to build on. But, I think the whole Caitlin thing is just people newer to the game. The WNBA fans are some of the most avid fans I've ever met. As y'all know, y'all on Twitter, WNBA Twitter is a whole vibe. Like, you will catch a stray, you say something crazy. The vibes are still high. The vibes are still good. I think the only thing I would probably change, though, people always text me y'all every day about how to watch the games. I think we just need to make it easier and simpler, like where people can easily watch and catch up.
I thought they had a league pass for WNBA.
I'd tell people to buy League Pass, right? And that's the easiest way. But otherwise, like, I don't know what cable people have or if you have a Fire Stick, but to me, it's still not hard to find it. I just think somehow it seems like people aren't getting all that information. No, but yes, League Pass, I think it's like $35.99. Like, there's no way people shouldn't be buying WNBA.
Yeah, and I think the league still has a marketing issue. I think they need to really, really, hone in on how they market their players a lot better. That's still going to be a conversation moving forward.
Of course. And but again, I think we have to remember that they're a young league, right? They're only going to go up. But I do think it's something, again, to talk about. But like the Indiana Fever, like, I just can't emphasize enough. There's other players, other than like Aaliyah Boston, is again fun to watch. He was the one who kept them in that game against the Mystics. There's other people. I mean, Paige, we haven't talked about Paige numbers, right? Like, and look at her numbers, y'all, right? And I know right now she's going through was it the concussion? But Paige deserves some credit to be talked about as well. And we're so excited to see her continue on. I think, honestly, the big storyline, Trey, is how the rookies have been able to deliver. Probably the most surprising one is what's happening in LA with the Sparks, right? Like, we know they got Kelsey Plum. She's had some good games, and she had like a slump. Rakia Jackson, we're all asking questions, right, about right now, like what's going on. We hear the personal games off, and trying to figure that out because there was high expectations for that team. We know what's happening with Brink not being able, to play. So I think that's kind of the one that kind of has me like scratching my head, right? Like, trying to figure outside of the Connecticut Sun, which I'm just like, my gosh.
Well, when you trade the entire starting five from last year, these are the kinds of results you're going to get on top of the coach leaving to go to Indiana as well too.
Right. So they had some changes, but De'Erica Hamby, right? I mean, somebody again that can continue, to deliver. Like, I agree with you. I still don't think we thought it was going to be like Kelsey Plum is a jewel, right? We saw her with the Aces. We saw what she did. We saw what she did in college. I think the growing pains are starting to show themselves now. And again, I don't think that's a team that people had like. I think the teams that we're worried about now is interesting, right? Like I just talked about the Mystics. People probably thought they'd be back at the bottom. But like we're talking about the Sparks right now. We're talking about the Sun. And the Suns, I mean, you think about it, but all the transition they had, right? And what they thought was broken. And again, what we're trying to tell you about your Knicks, Trey, like the Suns blew it up.
We're not trading the starting five. That's the difference.
No, we're starting that. But you had the coach.
Are you sure?
You had the coach.
Are you sure?
You had the piece.
I'm positive.
You had the piece. You had a good piece. They had good players, right? Yeah. So like y'all traded the good coach. They traded the good players. And, again, it just doesn't mean it's going to be instant gratification. But all in all to say, the WNBA has been fun. I know the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark storylines like just continue to dominate the headlines because we're a society that
I don't like her team.
Controversy. It's not bad for basketball.
It's not bad. I feel bad for Angel Reese. I just don't like the way that team is constructed.
They're another team that's struggling right now.
Yeah.
Her and Camila Cardoso. I love that they're trying to get more looks for Camila Cardoso. I think they still have to work to find them. A girl from our Mystics went over there, Ariel Atkins, right, with that Chicago team. But they're still trying to. I think Kennedy Carter's missed.
Huge.
They're missing some pieces. They got to do something. Yeah. They got to do something. But I do think getting Camila more involved.
Yeah, she gave up on a play the other night. She got fed up. Just threw her hands up because she wouldn't get the ball in the post. I was like, I understand. I totally get it.
It's frustration. And you have somebody Camila's size, like it just makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
How would you describe Angel Reese's game?
That's interesting. Like just in total. I think I would say Angel hasn't really fell off from last season, right? Like she was known as a double queen last season. I know she just made that feed about points and rebounds. I think Angel's good. I think the only thing with Angel, I think they're trying to work on it with her and Camila. It's just being more of a facilitator at times, like not having to take every.
That's what I would say. She's got to learn how to.
But the game is solid. And then last season, remember, we started to see her feel comfortable shooting beyond the arc. That's something else I would love to see develop in Angel's game. But I think that's the biggest thing. Like, and I get it. When you are a star player, wanting to be the hero, right? Wanting to do those sacrifices, but you just have to be careful. At the same time.
I'll say this.
I feel like I'm curious what you're about to say.
Well, because and look, I am the least experienced WNBA watcher here. I will.
Why is that? How did we get you watching?
No. At this stage, no real reason. I don't watch a bunch of TV nowadays. So to be honest, no real reason at this stage of the game. Trey's been on me, and he's been making it his business to say on the show. Yeah, Maestro don't watch the WNBA like that, So we can get this conversation. But I've watched it a little bit, and I guess the better question is what do you feel like her ceiling is? As like if you compared her, like just based on what you're seeing, what do you think her top potential is? Like, do you think she's a Let me ask you this. Let me just be blunt. Do you think she would be better known for her off-court personality, or more so known for her basketball personality when it's all said and done?
Honestly, I think Angel has changed the way that we look at WNBA players, and I get where you're going. I think Angel has branded herself right into her own brand. I mean, she has a top podcast. Done it very well, by the way.
Yeah,
a top podcast.
She's definitely doing her thing.
And then she's intersected the world of like culture and fashion, right? We remember the Met Gala, remember Vogue covers, like, and she's been able to brand herself in that way. And I think she should. I hate when people try to place people in the box. I don't like being placed in the box. I try to make sure people know all the different things that I do. But I do think her basketball accolades, especially last year, Angel was a beast. And let's remember, if it wasn't for that injury, we were talking about her potentially in that rookie of the year. I mean, let's not. I'm not that far removed. And then I think the Baltimore toughness, like people try to say those things. And look, let me say, that was a flagrant foul. that Caitlin Clark did against Angel Reese. Like, and Caitlin is a great player and stuff, and they're both competitive players. But like, let's not act like we didn't see what we saw. Like, it just But, unfortunately, I think she's always going to have a narrative around her. So I think it depends who you're talking to, Maestro. I think she's going to go as a villain in some categories. I think in other categories, she'll be praised for what she was able to do, I think, to continue to uplift the game of basketball and bring in new basketball fans and really embrace back Chicago. Like, they love her in Chicago. Like, I mean, it's been amazing to see. So I'm excited for what Angel does for the game. Look, and then I think Angel has, shown like you don't have to be the stereotype of what people have thought for so long of WNBA players. Like, she's doing it her way. She's young. And I think honestly handling so much controversy with grace.
Yeah. Look, I like her. Do I think I think Caitlin Clark is a better basketball player. That's just what it is.
But why are you hesitating to say that, though?
I don't think that's bad to say Caitlin Clark is a shooter. Like, she's gotten better.
Yeah, because I think when you talk about the whole quote unquote Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese situation, it's just for I think for me it's just like, bruh, I don't think it's a fair comparison. And because they play different types of games, and B, I just don't think Angel Reese is. I think she's a good player. I just don't think she's that player. While I get it media wise, why it was a good thing to do media wise to play them against each other. I just think when you look at their games, it's never going to be on court Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark, because Caitlin Clark don't do what Angel Reese do, and Angel Reese don't do what Caitlin Clark do.
But that's what a lot of times why they should be compared, right? You look at their positions, you look at what their roles are, but we put them against each other. I think Angel is good at her game. Caitlin is good at her game, right? Like, and that's just what it is. But
both of them broke records too, by the way. Yeah.
Yes, like both of them are phenomenal, sensational players. And I'm not going to sit here and say controversy isn't bad, right? It sells, storylines sell. But I think we have to remember, like, these girls are just trying to play the game they love. The game they've loved for so long, and that they're also human beings. Like, the fact that like people just can't be civil. Like, I mean, Angel's comments are wild. Like, and like the stuff that grown men are saying. Like, she's still a young girl at the end of the day, playing basketball. So I just wish people would be better.
I agree.
Kelsey,
I agree.
Like, you can criticize her basketball, you can criticize Caitlin's. Like, no one's above
basketball criticism.
No one's above that. But yes, anybody like is above.
I agree with that.
And as a journalist, some of us get mad. People get mad at us and hate it for us, but that's what our job is, right? To be objective. But at the same time, again, when you start saying racial things, when it gets nasty, and I think that's what people just do have to call out when we see that.
Agreed. Kelsey, this was great.
This was fun. I'm so sorry I have to jump you all.
At this point, you family at this point to the show, so it's all good. But let everybody know where they can find you at on social media and some of the things you got coming up.
Yeah, of course. Well, actually, talking about Fox 5, I will be on there on Fridays. So make sure y'all tune into the Take at 2. I think that's the first time I announced this this week, so super excited about that. Have a bunch of radio coming up, so definitely just check out my website, KelseyNicoleNelson.com. Talking all things, everything, y'all. WNBA, football, it's that crazy time of the year, which is super, super fun. But I'm on social media at The Real K Nelson, and check out my podcast as well, listeninwithkanan.com.
All right. We appreciate you. We see you on these internet streets. Be safe out there. Absolutely.
Looking forward to it. Have a good one, fellas. Bye.
Do the same. Yeah, Kelsey Nicole Nelson right there. When I tell y'all, one of the hardest working women in this industry, she's the one. She's everywhere. Basketball games, George Washington University professor, like she's like just all over the place. So always cool to have her on, but she's always got her time busy elsewhere. So always appreciate when she comes on here. What you got, man? You got some quick hitters, bro?
Congratulations to Frank Ragnow on retirement, center from the Detroit Lions, and also congrats to who my man that just retired, who just announced retirement. I'm about to tell you in 2 seconds. Ronald Darby, PG native, cornerback Ronald Darby has officially
I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah, he officially announced retirement. He was on the Texans. He told the Texans that he's going to retire. Shout out to PG Native, Ronald Darby, solid cornerback in his career. Congratulations to him.
That's what's up. Congrats to both those cats. How long did what's his name play with the Lions? How long?
6-7 years. I think it was.
Okay, I knew it was short. Like I knew it wasn't like 10 years or nothing like that. Yeah. So I saw it caught some people off guard on Twitter.
Because he was one of the top 5 centers in the game.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, look, get a chance to get out the game and come out of it healthier than maybe you possibly would have if you played 10, 13 years. Then you do what you got to do, man. Best of luck in the best life and the next life. So all good there. I got a question for you, man. So me and Debbie, we were talking about this. We brought up Stephon Diggs earlier when Kelsey was on. How you feeling about like the video coming out and the stuff that was going on?
What video came out? What video came out?
Oh,
you're talking about on the boat.
On the boat. Yeah.
I don't feel no way about it. Like what?
Okay, I'm with you, man.
Like I said when Kelsey was talking about it. I mean, we've heard the rumors about Stephon Diggs and he out here slaying. He out here killing. He out here shooting. He sniping out here. So I mean, that it got caught on tape. I mean, all right, that's what's up.
Yeah.
I don't think.
So I personally, this is my opinion. Because I said, look, if the Patriots want to look at it and they want to do something,
2025, you better find something to do.
Yeah, like that for me. That's just not enough for me to say the Patriots should cut him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah.
Oh, they ain't cutting no motherfucking Stephon Diggs.
That's just not enough. That's just not enough for me to be like, oh, nah, we,
he ain't do nothing illegal.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like
he didn't even do nothing conduct detrimental. He wasn't supposed to be at OTAs and that.
I'm like, okay, yeah, because like I said, me and Debbie were talking about it. She was like, oh, she gave that girl some pills. I was like, okay, like what?
She might have had it. Maybe she had a headache.
I was like, what's your point? Right, but I didn't say that. But I also said, okay, first of all, we don't know what it is, and even if it's some stuff, like, okay, what are we talking about here? Like, it's no big deal. It's nothing. Yeah. It's no big deal to me.
He doing what he want to do, and
living his life, man.
As far as the Patriots are concerned, as long as he go on there and deliver on the field.
But just
he
be safe.
And he ain't doing that. Yeah, that part, and he ain't doing nothing
just be safe,
illegal.
Though. Yep.
Come on, man.
Just be safe, though. So I'll say that.
He's doing what most of us men want to do, man. On the boat with bad Jones. I mean, come on, man. He's not. Come on, man. What we talking about right now? I don't feel no way about it. God bless Stephon Diggs. I want to be in about 35% of that action. About 35% of that action I want to be a part of.
I'm sure you do, bro.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do. Anything else, man? I got no quick hitters, man. Appreciative for Kelsey Nicole Nelson coming through here. Shout out to the chats, Mike Patton and JR Gamble, Jungle Brother.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to the IG live chats. Got our boy Vince up in here.
What up, my boy?
Huh?
I was saying, what up to Vince?
Oh, okay. Got Savage in here. Jada.
Yes,
appreciate y'all. Viv Bruce, More Insight Show. Appreciate y'all tuning in on the IG live chat. Continue to follow us on social media. We're on Twitter at Barbershop SPOR2. Also the Facebook page. Also on Instagram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Also got the YouTube channel. We're also on Twitch as well. And if you got questions or comments, hit us up on the email at barbershopsportstalk1@gmail.com. And also before we head out here, just trying to promote some of the merch. Got these t-shirts for sale here. We got all different colors. We got black. We got this blue color right here. We got navy blue, gray, white. Just scan the QR code. We got some good shirts out there. We also got some other stuff on the site as well. So scan that QR code, check it out. We got some other stuff.
Put it
on
back
there.
up, bro. Put the other one back up real quick. I don't want to see something.
Oh, all right. I take it that it's been a while since you've looked at the site.
I wanted a shirt.
Oh, you want to cop a shirt? Okay. Hey, man, invest in yourself, bro.
I just wanted a shirt, man.
That's how you got to do it. That's how you got to do it. We got these hats too, man. New era snapback trucker hats with the black netting logo in the front. I got about 6-5 of them left. Scan the QR code, take you right to the IG DM page. Just hit me up if you want to cop a hat, and we'll arrange for us to get the hat over to you through the mail. So again, appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate Kelsey for coming through. Love, peace, and happiness to everybody out there. And as always, folks, mind your damn business.
Drink some water.
Oh yeah, we got him. Trey, Frazier, and Maestro styles, we got one. Right back like we left something. We don't duck smoke, we want all of it. So line them up, Trey sharp with the blade, we sizing it up. I'm quick to catch the fade, Styles making the cut. Cause we coming out clean every time that we showing up.
It's gonna be called